the latest military news update. This is AFP Community News, hosted by Rob Susan every 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. Only here on DWDD Armed Forces Radio. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Philippine Air Force puts its air assets on standby for OFW repatriation amid Middle East tension. Philippine Navy vows to protect West Philippine Sea oil drilling. DOE says POV drivers and farmers to get fuel subsidies. DTI says no price hike for sardines.
Hello to everyone, especially to our troops at Camp Emilio Ginaldo in Quezon City. Today is Wednesday, June 25, and this is AFP Community News, your source for the updates on the armed forces and other developments across the country. I am Ralph Susan Abay, here to bring you today's stories.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And for the brief overview of our news, the Philippine Air Force placed its C-130 and C-295 aircraft on standby for possible repatriation missions of distressed overseas Filipinos as tensions escalate between Israel and Iran. Philippine Air Force Chief Lieutenant General Arthur Cordura said the Air Force is ready to assist if President Ferry Marcos Jr. orders support for the Department of Foreign Affairs and Department of Migrant Workers. The PAF also committed specialized personnel, including medical and CBRN teams. The Armed Forces of the Philippines clarified that its current focus is on repatriation, not military involvement.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
The Philippine Air Force announced that it is considering Japanese-made Mitsubishi F-2 fighters as part of its long-term defense modernization efforts. Philippine Air Force Chief Lieutenant General Arthur Cordura confirmed that while 12 new FA-50 Block 70 jets from Korea Aerospace Industries are already in the pipeline, Japan's Mitsubishi F-2 fighters are also potential candidates for future acquisition. He said the Department of National Defense will assess how these platforms align with the country's comprehensive archipelagic defense concept and territorial defense strategy. The FA-50 contract, valued at $700 million, covers deliveries from 2026 to 2030.
Armed Forces Radio.
More updates from Shah. 89th IB boosts unity through regular breakfast fellowship.
Yes, Ruff, the 89th Infantry Makatao Battalion strengthens unit morale and cohesion through regular breakfasts and fellowships held every Monday and Friday at its headquarters in Maramag, Bukidnon. The simple gathering brings together officers and enlisted personnel to share meals, foster trust, and encourage open communication. 89th IB Commanding Officer Lieutenant Colonel Antonio G. Bulao highlighted that the strong unit bonds often begins with small gestures like shared meals. The initiative stands a model for promoting teamwork, professionalism, and unity across the armed forces. This is Shaina Araneta reporting for AFP Community News, one AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Shah.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
On the other hand, the Philippine Navy affirmed its readiness to secure all exploration and drilling operations in the West Philippine Sea against foreign interference. Philippine Navy spokesperson Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad said the Navy and the Armed Forces are prepared to defend government-backed energy projects. It includes the Noble Viking drill ships activities under the Malampaya Phase 4 project. He emphasized the protection efforts would be comprehensive, covering all necessary security operations to ensure the country's energy assets remain safeguarded within its exclusive economic zone.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
Relatedly, the Philippine Navy confirmed it monitored the transit of the Chinese aircraft carrier Shandong and its escort vessels through the Luzon Strait last June 22. According to Philippine Navy spokesperson Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, the Navy closely tracked the movement of the Chinese carrier group as it entered the South China Sea from the Pacific. He said the transit was considered a freedom of navigation passage, but emphasized that the Philippine Navy maintained full maritime domain awareness throughout the operation. Rear Admiral Trinidad added that the Philippine naval and air assets were on alert to ensure the security of the country's maritime zones and to deter any potential incursion.
Armed Forces Radio.
From Solcom, let us hear from Jess about NAV4Sol leads interagency HADR training in Legazpi City.
Yes, good afternoon. The Philippine Navy, through the Naval Forces Southern Luzon, is hosting a humanitarian assistance and disaster response interagency training. This training brings together personnel of Naval Forces Southern Luzon, member agencies of Regional Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council 5, and other units of Armed Forces of the Philippines. The training shall be an avenue for participants to be equipped with necessary skills and knowledge of the different disaster response operation and fundamental procedures. A series of lecture and demonstration will be conducted throughout the training sessions, which will focus on basic life-saving, water survival technique, boat handling and water search and rescue, which includes methods such as use of flotation devices, throw ropes, operation and rescue boats, search for missing persons in water, including techniques especially designed for murky water searches. By conducting this training, the Philippine Navy aims to foster cooperation among different agencies and units, especially in response efforts during disaster and emergencies. It is the goal of the Philippine Navy to strengthen the disaster response capabilities and to promote a culture of preparedness among the participants. This is Jess from Solcom reporting for AFP Community News, one AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Jess from Solcom.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
The Philippine Marine Corps kicked off the 4th Archipelagic Coastal Defense Preparedness Exercise with a ceremonial opening at Camp Cape Bohedor, Burgos, Ilocos Norte. The exercise aims to assess the readiness of Marine Corps Force Development Center and the 4th Marine Brigade in carrying out key territorial defense tasks. Training activities include the maritime key terrain security operations, counter-landing, live fire integration, and special operations simulating real-world combat and humanitarian scenarios to enhance unit responsiveness and operational effectiveness.
DWDD National News.
For our national news, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has directed government agencies to distribute financial aid to drivers and operators of public utility vehicles, as well as farmers and fishermen. This aims to help cushion the impact of oil price hikes. Department of Energy Officer in Charge Sharon Garin said the industry has calmed down after prices spiked as a result of the war between Israel and Iran. She also added that a budget of 2.5 billion pesos has been set aside for these subsidies. Officials from DOE, Department of Transportation, Department of Agriculture, and Land Transportation Franchising Authority Board held a meeting yesterday to make sure the agencies are ready to distribute the subsidies.
Armed Forces Radio.
From NOLCOM, let us hear some information from Joanne about NOLCOM holds Maritime Domain Awareness Seminar to strengthen legal and operational synergy.
The Northern Luzon Command Armed Forces of the Philippines hosted a one-day Maritime Domain Awareness Seminar on June 20, 2025 at the Cordillera Hall, Camp Serviliano, Aquino, Tarlac City. Attorney Julius A. Llano, Assistant Secretary of the Presidential Office for Maritime Concerns, National Maritime Council, delivered lectures on the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, the 2016 South China Sea Arbitration Ruling, and Republic Acts 12064 and 12065, which define the country's maritime zone and archipelagic sea lanes. Lieutenant General Fernil Gibuca, Philippine Air Force, the commander of Northern Luzon Command, presented the command's current maritime security posture and emphasized the need for greater interagency cooperation, force projection in contested waters, and legal clarity in defending national sovereignty. This activity reflects NOLCOM trust as a jointly engaged, sustainment maintained, and readiness trained force committed to protecting the nation's strategic frontiers and maritime interests. NOLCOM continues to lead efforts that safeguard peace, stability, and sovereignty in Northern and Central Luzon. This is John Salk reporting from Northern Luzon Command for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Joanne from Nolcom.
DWDD National News.
The ongoing conflict in the Middle East is seen to have a minimal economic impact for now. President Ferdinand Marcos met with his economic team yesterday at Malacanang to assess the effects of the war between Israel and Iran and to discuss measures that will cushion the impact of the price shocks on vulnerable sectors. Energy Department officer in charge Sharon Garin said that so far the conflict has subsided and the prices have gone down, so it's not alarming for the economic managers. But she emphasized that the government is bracing for all possible scenarios, including the potential closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which may force the Philippines to look for other oil supply sources and routes.
DWDD National News.
Filipinos should not wait for a ceasefire between Iran and Israel before deciding to be repatriated. Philippine Ambassador to Amman, Jordan, Wilfredo Santos said, "No one or nothing is preventing the Filipino nationals from leaving Jordan. Whether there is a ceasefire or not, the airport is open and there are available flights but limited. Currently, there are about 42,000 Filipinos working and living in Jordan, most of whom work in the household sector."
Armed Forces Radio.
Let us hear more from Maljoy of First Year G about 69th IB participants in the Civic Military Parade 2025.
Yes, Rolf, the Charlie Courageous Fighters Company proudly participated in the Civic Military Parade 2025 as part of the vibrant Dinalupihan Town Fiesta celebration. Clad in crisp camouflage uniforms and snappy combat boots, troops from the Charlie Company marched with precision, dignity, and pride. Philippine Army insignias and Philippine flag patches prominently displayed on their sleeves reflected their unwavering commitment to duty and country. With a pride posture, synchronized steps, and disciplined bearing, they embodied the professionalism and strength of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, leaving a lasting impression on the spectators lining the streets of Barangays Kataasan, General Luna, and San Ramon fronting the Dinalupihan Oval. Their participation underscored the military's vital role in not only ensuring peace and security, but also in fostering the enduring bond between the armed forces and the community. The presence of the Cowgar Battalion underscored the Armed Forces of the Philippines' dedication to civic duty, unity, and the preservation of local traditions that inspire patriotism and resilience. The parade, spearheaded by the local government unit of Dinalupihan, brought together local government agencies, civic society organizations, stakeholders, and security forces, showcasing the spirit of collaboration that defines Dinalupihan's progress. Through meaningful activities like this, the Cowgar Battalion reaffirms its role as more than just guardians of peace. They are steadfast partners in building a stronger, more united, and resilient Dinalupihan. This is Meljo Nesho Arroco reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Maljoy of First Year G.
DWDD National News.
For other national news, canned sardine manufacturers have assured the public that there will be no price increase for now. The Department of Trade and Industry said makers of canned sardines dropped the planned 3 peso price hike following a meeting with them. NITI Secretary Cristina Roque said different firms vowed to maintain the current suggested retail price or SRP for canned sardines. Present during the meeting were members of the Canned Sardines Association of the Philippines, led by Shatrad, Mega Prime Foods Incorporated, Permex, Universal Can Incorporated, and Century Pacific Food Incorporated.
DWDD National News.
Flag carrier Philippine Airlines announced last night the resumption of all its Middle East flights starting today, following the reopening of airspace in the region. While previously canceled multiple flights to Middle East cities, Doha, Dubai, and Riyadh. While previously advised its passengers of the canceled flights that they have a number of options to choose from. The airline said they may rebook for another trip with available seats within 60 days from the original flight. They also reminded passengers to regularly check the status of their flight before proceeding to the airport.
Armed Forces Radio.
Some information from Gina about 12 IB joins San Juan Festival to deepen community engagement.
Yes, Raf, the 12th Infantry Lick M Battalion proudly participated in the lively celebration of Sabyahanay sa Pista ni San Juan 2025 held at the Kalinog Public Plaza, Iloilo yesterday. The annual festivity, rooted in faith and tradition, honored Saint John the Baptist with vibrant water games and community activities that drew locals and visitors alike. Troops of the 12th IB joined in the joyous water splashing tradition. Their participation reflected the Philippine Army's ongoing efforts to build stronger ties with the communities they served. This is Gina reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Gina.
DWDD National News.
The Philippine government is open to reducing the excise tax on fuel. Finance Secretary Ralph Recto said a dramatic increase in oil prices will dramatically increase oil revenue for the government. They may reduce excise tax on fuel to ensure inflation is tempered. For now, Recto added that they are studying trigger points. Staggered fuel price hikes of up to 5 peso are set this week as Middle East tensions worsen after the United States bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites.
DWDD National News.
The Department of Budget and Management has approved the hiring of an additional 4,000 teachers in public schools. This is on top of the initial 16,000 positions to be filled under Batch 1 approved by the DBM last May. Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said, the pursuant to the directive of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to further strengthen support in the education sector, the DBM, led by Secretary Amena Pangandaman, has approved another batch of teaching positions for 2025. 4,000 new Teacher 1 positions with salary grade 11 have been approved. Funding will be sourced from the DepEd's built-in appropriations under the 2025 General Appropriations Act.
Armed Forces Radio.
On the other line, let us hear more from Beth Tañete about Army troops, stakeholders, lead outreach for Bongabon students.
73rd Infantry Aguila Brigade and stakeholders spearheaded a successful community outreach in Bongabon, Nueva Ecija. Students of Tamali and Camp Martir Elementary Schools received school supplies and meals. Palayan City Mayor Viander Nicole J. Cuevas and the LGU of Bongabon supported the effort. The 73rd Infantry Aguila Brigade Commander, Brigadier General Julio C. Ocias IV, presided the joint effort and highlighted their role in strengthening trust and uplifting isolated communities. This is Beth Taneta reporting for the AFP Community News, 1 AFP for the Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Beth Tañete.
DWDD National News.
For other national news, the Light Rail Transit Authority announced on Wednesday the operations of its Light Rail Transit Line 2 were affected by a technical problem. LRTA Administrator Attorney Hernando Cabrera said there was a problem in the transformer numbers 5 and 6 located in Santolan and Anonas areas. Their team is already on site to do repairs. For the meantime, LRT2 operations will be limited to Cubao and Recto to Cubao starting at 7 a.m. or earlier.
DWDD National News.
Filipinos are beginning to see the good effects of the administration's bloodless war on drugs, according to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Marcos said this as he cited the seizure of at least 62 billion peso worth of methamphetamine hydrochloride or shabu in just a span of 3 years. Marcos led the inspection of the recovered 1,304.604 kilograms of shabu yesterday. This cost 8.87 billion pesos.
Armed Forces Radio.
From our reporter on the ground, let us hear the report of Kath about 710th SPO test troop readiness in intense pre-anniversary S5 challenge.
Good day everyone. The 12th Civil Military Operations Kapatiran Battalion actively participated in the Seymour Sports Fest closing ceremony led by Regiment Commander Brigadier General Benjamin Howe at the Philippine Army Grandstand in Taguig City yesterday. The battalion emerged as champions in volleyball and table tennis, clinched first runner-up in chess and triathlon, second runner-up in cheer dance, and third runner-up in badminton, basketball, and Mobile Legends. They also took home the Best Muse and Best Escort awards, earning them the second runner-up overall title. In his message, Brigadier General Howe highlighted that sports promotes unity and physical fitness. This is Ferdy Blues reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Ferdy, about your report about 12 CMO Battalion shines in Seymour Sport Fest, bags multiple awards.
Armed Forces Radio.
And now for the report of Kat, let us hear about the 710th SPO test, the troop readiness in intense pre-anniversary S5 challenge.
Yes, Rof, good noon. The 710 Special Operations Wing or SPAW held its S5 Challenge 2025 at Colonel Ernesto Ravina Air Base, Capas, Tarlac as part of its pre-anniversary celebration. 311 teams from the headquarters, 720th Special Operation Group, and 770th Special Operations and Combat Support Group participated in the grueling exercise. Each team carried firearms, ammunition, and 20-kilogram jungle packs during a long-distance movement through simulated jungle and lahar terrain. The challenge tested skills in land navigation, radio communication, casualty evacuation, close-quarter battle, sniping, and tactical formations under simulated ambushes. This is Kat reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Kath.
DWDD National News.
For our weather update, Pag-asa is monitoring a tropical depression outside the Philippine area of responsibility. The cyclone was spotted 555 kilometers west of Bacnotan, La Union. Meanwhile, the southwest monsoon will affect the western section of southern Luzon, bringing rains. Zambales, Bataan, and Palawan will experience cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms.
DWDD Armed Forces News.
And that concludes today's broadcast, and thank you for tuning in, especially to our audience on AFP Radio, DWDD's Facebook page. Be sure to join and catch us again tomorrow for more stories and updates, same time and same station. Once again, this is Rof Susan Abay for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for stronger Philippines.
Behold the latest military news update. This is AFP Community News, hosted by Rob Susan every 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. Only here on DWDD Armed Forces Radio. 1 AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Kayo ay nakatutok sa DWDD AFP Radio. Kami po ay kasapi ng KBP, Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas.